Marcel, welcome to the Sports Editor. It's really good to have you on the show. Thanks for taking time out to chat to us all the way from Germany. It's good stuff.
Yes.
So, first question, thoughts on the Champions League? How is Bayern Munich doing?
I haven't been following much football.
No. We must talk
more football when I was living in South Africa. I followed more football than now. So I actually don't know.
That's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. But just if we start off with sort of a general question, what is sort of German rugby focusing on at the moment, and what do you feel that they're getting right currently?
Well, at the moment, more of the focus has been on the sevens, because obviously it's an Olympic sport, and Germany puts a lot of effort into the Olympic Sports Committee. So they give a lot of funding. So the rugby obviously is getting a lot more funding from the Olympic side, the Olympic Committee. So the sevens is getting a bit more time now. So there used to be a 15s academy here. It was actually run by a private sponsor. That crashed end of last year. We had a World Cup qualifying tournament in Marseille. So that was with Kenya, Canada, and Hong Kong, just four teams. And the top team went through. So every team played each team once. And after that, we came second. We lost to Canada. We beat Hong Kong and Kenya. Sure. And after that, the private sponsor jumped off the ship, and all the players went distributed all over the world again. It was already a lot of international players involved in the national team. So we had plenty South Africans. We had around, must have been over 10 South Africans in the squad. We had Australian, we had people from the UK with German passports. So they did a lot of scouting to see where they could find German passports, players with German passports. So, but after that, it crashed pretty much, and so some stayed, and a lot of them went to the sevens program. That is the emphasis at the moment, is the sevens program, and to qualify for the Olympics and the World Series. They've actually been very close to qualifying for World Series the last 3 years. They've been in a final a couple of times, lost out in the last minute. So we were hoping this was going to be the year, but obviously because of Corona, everything, Hong Kong fell out in April.
Sure.
It was actually looking pretty good this year. So we have to just hope for next year, or that the tournament gets postponed somehow.
Yeah, that's quite something, because talking about the sort of rugby championship there, and you guys are really doing well, and it just seems that every year you guys are getting better and better and better, which is awesome. And 2019, was maybe a bit of a frustrating year for you guys, because you came so close to qualifying for the Rugby World Cup, but then Russia just pipped you guys.
Yes. So we had actually a lot of chances. In that championship anyway, there was a lot of stuff happening. There were teams being caught with players that weren't eligible to play.
Oh, wow.
So they got points taken off. It's actually lots of political issues we had. So this whole private sponsor we had, so there was an academy, and he had a lot of employees, and pretty much the whole national team was employed by him, and he had a bit of a scuffle with the union. He stopped us indirectly from playing for the national team for a whole season. So Germany came last, and then the year before we came fourth. So we beat Romania that year as well, beat Belgium. So beating Romania was quite a big thing in 2017 for German rugby, for the 15s. But then so after that, pretty much everything just crumbled. From there, it just went downwards. He banned us from playing for a whole season. we came last. Then all of a sudden, teams got disqualified, so we had another opportunity to qualify for the World Cup.
Oh, great.
We played Samoa because they came last in the Pacific Island tournament. So we got to play Samoa away. We got thrashed there in Samoa.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And then we played them here at home, and it was within 6 points the last 10 minutes, and it was actually a pretty good game. Very close as well. We really fought hard. But it was already, the points difference was so high, so it was just a matter of pride. And that's when we were allowed to play again. So the private sponsor sorted the stuff out with the union. And then when we lost that game against Samoa, then we went into the repertoire tournament in Marseille. And that's where we came second. We lost out to Canada there.
Sure.
So it's been a bit of a bumpy ride. There's been a lot of political issues this side as well. It's the same everywhere. So.
Okay. But talking about that game against Samoa when you played at home, didn't you convert a penalty from in your own half?
Yes, I had two kicks from just out in my own half. The one I just missed, and then the second one I got. Yeah.
Because are you playing more of a centre role, more wing, but then obviously when it comes to the long range kicks, you're the man for the job.
Yes, that's always been one of the parts of my games is my kicking game. So I focus a lot on it at college as well. I kicked 3 years for the first team there, so it's been a big focus point and a hobby. I like to kick, even though I'm more involved in the sevens program now. I go out to goal kick every week almost, still to just for fun.
All right. Yeah, and talking about sevens, and this is coming up a lot, especially the people that I've chatted to. Yeah, sevens is definitely on the up, and I think that with the way Germany is approaching rugby now, that they're trying to make something happen. You guys have got a good chance of actually featuring in the upcoming sevens tournaments. Do you think you guys have got a good chance for that?
Yes, so Hong Kong is obviously the biggest, and we don't have many sevens tournaments, so we're trying really hard to qualify for Hong Kong for the World Series. So we have more tournaments, and we can play against better opponents, and then hopefully gain some experience so we can qualify for Olympics soon. Because a lot of the funding is depending on qualifying for Olympics. So that's all they really want to see is us playing in the Olympics here. So.
Well, let's hope you guys get there. And talk to me about your head coach. Is this adding a bit of South African flavour to your gameplay, or is he sort of embracing what everyone has to bring to the plate and then move forward from there?
For 15 man, it was always Kobus Potgieter. So when I was still playing for the 15s, and he was also an employee of the academy of this private sponsor we had. So he was also a mentor to me, to a lot of the South Africans. He's at Stade Francais now.
Okay.
He's looking after Espoir now. And then we actually had Mark Ford that came in as well. It was George Ford's father, the English fly half. Moritz Burter was one of our assistant coaches as well. That was during the repertoire time. Then after that, coaches have been coming in and going after that. So funding has been an issue. Obviously, there hasn't been much private sponsoring for the 15s. So they've just kind of been looking for coaches that are in and around Germany that are currently here. So so focus has really gone into the sevens at the moment. So.
Okay, no, fair enough. But now, obviously you in Germany, and it's known as like a very disciplined country. So if you are like 1 minute late for practice, do you get into trouble?
Well, it's in rugby. It's mostly coaches that are international coaches, even our sevens coaches from the UK. So, but it is like that. Germany's a bit too structured for me at times. Yeah, so but I've got used to it now. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah. And I know you've said you're playing a lot of sevens rugby nationally, but the rugby Bundesliga that's
Yes.
getting some momentum. But do you think it's at a bit of a vantage point in the sense that rugby only really started in Germany in about 2004? You know, so are they in a position now where they can actually learn a lot and don't really have to play catch up, or are they still quite far behind and got a lot of catching up to do?
Well, we were doing really well. So when just before that repertoire time, um, we were competing. I mean, we were beating teams like Romania. We beat Uruguay 2016, end of 2016. That was my first game for Germany when I came over. So we had some really good games. It was just we weren't consistent enough at times. We didn't have a big enough squad. So most of the 15s hung on was dependent on this private sponsor that we had. And he started the academy, I think, 10 years before I got here. So around that 2004 time, he started that academy, and that's when he brought in a lot of international players with German passports, the coaches as well. And that's when it started building, and it was a long process. He was so what we're doing is they were also employed as coaches, so they'd go around to all the Bundesliga teams. So it was a coaching academy, and that's how they tried to get rugby going. And then end of 2016, they decided to put more emphasis into the national team and gain popularity with the national team. So when that started in 2016, a few more of us professional players came over. And that's when it started really kicking off with the national team. And then, unfortunately, he jumped off. And it's actually a very interesting story how he jumped off. So there was the one season, 2018, when we weren't allowed to play for the national team.
Okay.
Indirectly. So he was our employer at the time. And we all played for one club as well in the Bundesliga. It's called Heidelberger Ruder Club, HRK, German club here. And so the Bundesliga was pretty unfair. So it was the whole national team was almost playing for one club. So winning the Bundesliga hands down. So we played in the EPCR. So it's you get the Champions Cup, the Challenge Cup, and then you get the EPCR. That's the one we played in with the Italian clubs. And that season we put a lot of emphasis into that because we weren't allowed to play for the national team. So no one expected us to win, actually. And our private sponsor that season bought Stade Francais as well in France. A German guy, businessman.
Sure.
And little did he know that, so Stade Francais was in the Challenge Cup at that time, and we were in the Continental Shield. We played against Timisoara Saracens, Batumi, Calvisano from Italy. So they were good, big clubs. So we weren't expected to actually win because in the seasons before that we got clubbed by 100 points, 60 points usually. So that season, no one expected us to he didn't expect us to do that well. So long story short, we ended up qualifying for the Challenge Cup. We beat Timisoara Saracens. We beat Calvisano 3 times, so away, home, and in the semi-final. So we had a crack of a season. Qualified for Challenge Cup, which has never been heard of for a German club. To play against teams like Stade Francais, or get the opportunity to. So then the time came when we qualified, and it was a conflict of interest. So he had Stade Francais and us. So he had to let go of one. So obviously he let us go, which is quite sad. because it was quite a big thing for us to qualify for that. And it was quite heartbreaking, and it was a small squad as well. So we were training every single day for hours. Small squad. It was tough times, and to qualify for something like that as a German club, and then to, at the end of the day, just to get let down was quite tough. So
that is tough. That is tough.
And that's how he jumped off from everything then, from national team as well. So
sure. I just want to check.
Then a lot of players left, and so that's a lot that happened here in the last 3 years. So
Yeah. So your current club, am I right in saying that's TSV Hanselschein?
Handelsheim, yes, that's where I live as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then how many teams actually feature in the league? And I know you mentioned that you guys compete in a few European competitions. But what would be the ideal competition for you? Which competition would you love to participate
in? Around the whole world. So anyone. Super rugby.
Well, I think Super Rugby is under serious pressure. I think a lot more rugby is going to be played up north. I think a lot of South African teams are going to go that route because there's been a lot of almost negativity towards South African sides. And I think the South African sides personally have, believe it or not, more money than New Zealand and Australian sides. And so, to go and play in England or Scotland or Ireland or Wales, it's much better. And there's no delay in watching time. It's a 2-hour difference, whatever it may be. Oh, that's convenient, man. But that's just my opinion. Yeah. But I don't want to dampen your hopes of Super Rugby, though.
Yeah. But I like watching the New Zealand teams. I think they're still some of the most exciting to watch.
Oh, yeah. And I think that will be for many more years to come because they talk about culture. It starts at their school, talking about the school that you attended. From a young age, they're doing the haka already, and there's such an aura and respect for their culture and for rugby. So I know they're going to be strong for many more years, definitely. But it's interesting topic there, that one. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
So how many teams actually feature in the Bundesliga?
So we have a North and South Bundesliga, so they split.
Okay.
So the South Bundesliga mainly consists of Frankfurt and Heidelberg teams. So Heidelberg is actually small. It's a small city, but somehow this is where rugby has flourished. This is where most of the clubs are. So Handelsheim is one that I'm at currently. HRK, the one I was at before, that's also in Heidelberg. RGH, another Heidelberg club. Neuenheim. So there's a lot of clubs just within Heidelberg, and the one club is actually just next to ours as well. So it's similar to Rovers Collegians, Derby. So the biggest derby in Bundesliga. So,
and are the people sort of embracing rugby? Because I know the German people are very supportive, especially when it comes to football. So when there's like a derby like that, are the people there? Are they watching? Are they interested in what's happening with rugby?
Yes, that's probably that they get the most attendance. I think that derby. So I don't know. I would guess around maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people that come watch. Not many. I had more that came watch at college. So yeah.
But
it's a very small rugby community. So it's also just within certain cities. So Berlin is actually just starting to go on the rise. So it's becoming more popular there now.
Okay.
They've got two decent clubs there. So Hanover is the biggest in the north. So they've got also 2 very decent clubs there. But Heidelberg is the capital of rugby in Germany. They have the biggest rugby community as well.
Sure, that's awesome. That's absolutely brilliant. And just talking about that, you go through this transition from sort of like 15s to 7s. That in terms of skills, are you quite happy to just get stuck in and play anywhere? Are you even trying to hit a few scrums there at times, or you prefer to go the back line?
Actually, I'm still in the backs there.
Okay.
So we've got a few bit more stronger guys in the 7s here. I've actually lost quite a bit of weight since I've joined the 7s. I've also just joined recently in October. And in October, when I just joined the 7s, I actually pulled my hamstring playing for my 15 side, Huntersheim. Was out for quite a while, 3 months. So it was an 8 centimeter tear in my hammy, so it was quite a bad one.
Wow.
And I wanted it to recover properly before I started again. And just as I got back, that's when Corona just started to break out. So.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of an extra longer break now. I lost a lot of kilos there. I was 92 and I'm down to 86 now. So I've lost 6 kgs. So I'm in the back still, gained a bit of speed. Working hard on specific 7 skills now as well, and just getting used to the system, because I actually didn't play a lot of 7s back in South Africa and at school as well. So I'm just getting used to the whole the 7s system still.
Yeah, you just mentioned the 7 system. Don't you think actually if you could almost turn back the clock, be better if Germany focused on 7s first and then the 15-man rugby? Because I know you explained previously that things have fallen off a bit. Would that not have been better if they actually focused on the 7s and said, right, let's dominate the 7s, let's get that sorted first, and then let's branch out and try and grow the 15-man? Or was 15-man better to start off with?
Well, the thing is that they were actually, the 7s program has been there all the time.
Okay.
They had focused a lot on it as well, and they tried to use players from both systems, because our depth is a bit of an issue in Germany. So the two tried to work together, didn't work out, political issues again, and that also crashed that whole working together, which was quite a pity, because there was a lot of good players that could have been used more, how can I say, efficiently, and being shared a bit more better. So that fell apart as well. So it's yeah.
You should just tell them you're going to offer them a beer and you'll get more players to come. I mean, isn't beer quite popular in Germany?
Yeah, it's not all that easy. It hasn't been that easy here. So
yeah. No, for sure.
No, the players. Yeah, the players have had it tough. I mean, even the players from the 7s system and the 15s program, they were really good friends at the time as well. So it was quite tough when it just fell apart. The both just stopped working together, and then some players had to pick which side to stay with. And I stayed with the 15s at the time because I've always played 15s my whole life, so it was a pretty easy pick for me at the time.
No, fair enough. Do you still keep tabs with your school and see what's happening there? And were you a bit disappointed that the rugby season didn't quite go ahead?
Yes, well, I still have a lot of contact with them. I just the other day, my house, I was in Hudson House in the boarding house. They had their end of the term dinner, and they asked a lot of players, international sportsmen around the world, just to send a short video clip that they played at the dinner. So there's always some interaction. Obviously, the Old Boy Association is very strong at college. And one of my very good friends as well, who played with me, who was in my form as well, same grade, Goy LaRue, he's currently the first team coach there. So
okay, nice.
So I'll still keep in touch and see what's happening. how everything's happening with the rugby there. So that's quite nice. So just a quick message to see how everything is working. So I think Corona just came in when they're starting their warm-up games. So it was quite tough for the players, preparing a whole pre-season, and then just as the season's about to kick off, just to have it cut off there. So it's quite tough.
It was quite tough. Yeah, it's been very frustrating for a lot of matrics, and I think around the world.
Yes.
Matric being your year that you really want things to kick on, and it's gone.
That's where players are playing for contracts after school. I mean, you're trying your best to play Craven Week that year, so you can play in front of the scouts, and so it is tough for them.
Definitely. Marcel, how long did it take you to learn German?
I learned German when I was young. My mom's German, so I've known German my whole life. It's been a bit of a South African mixture German, because I grew up in Wartburg, so that's New Hanover, in South Africa. So it's a German community there. And they've been there for years, so they've already been their third, fourth generation, all sugarcane farmers, and they've kind of grown onto a bit of a South African Denglish dialect. So I learned a bit of that Denglish there. So I've had to sharpen up my German a bit since I've been here. So, but I study in German now as well. So
sure.
That's helped a lot. Yeah, that was quite a big step for me.
Yeah. What are you studying?
Cross media design. So it's a kind of graphic design, but it's also a web design as well. So it's not just focusing on graphic design and film as well. So that's why it's called cross media design. So it's a few different aspects.
You can give me a few tips. That's great. Marcel, you're obviously very calm when it comes to interviews. I hope you're not this calm on a rugby field.
No, at times when I have to be. I mean, when you have to kick a goal to win, sometimes you just have to calm the nerves a bit. So.
No, great. So, in your mind, sort of, when do you think you guys will be in action? When do you think training will pick up again for the German 7 side?
So we've been training for about 5 weeks already.
Okay.
In the Olympic Center. So we get to use the Olympic facilities. So that's quite fortunate. I mean, it's some of the best sports facilities you can ask for. They're pretty legit. But we've been training with 4 people in the gym. So you're allowed maximum 4 people in a group. So we've just had gym. Then after that, we have skills in the big hall there with our coaches. So it's been tough with 4 people in a group, especially for the coaches and the S&C coaches as well, because they have to stay there the whole day doing the same program, which with each group of 4. So it's hats off to them.
Yeah.
But so with a lot of the fitness we have been doing on our own, especially during the hectic lockdown in the beginning. We got our programs out, which we had to do individually, because we didn't actually have a proper lockdown, so we were allowed to leave our houses. It's just all the shops were closed, and they just told us we should keep distance, and the Germans listened pretty well.
Oh no, yes.
To an extent, yeah. So, but so that's been our training for now. Just groups of 4. They reckon in about 2 weeks we'll be able to train properly on the pitch again, the whole team, mid-June. So the Bundesliga has been called off completely. They've just scrapped the whole season. And we restart in September. That's when the Bundesliga always starts again. So they're hoping they can start normally from September. but I'm not quite sure if it will happen. So Germany has been pretty loose, but they at the same time still strict about a lot of things. So I don't think before there's a cure that there'll be lots of big contact sports happening in Germany. So there'll always be that rule of they call it the 1.5 meter distance here. So
yeah,
I don't know if rugby will be able to continue in September. So.
Oh man, yeah, because I'll tell you what, missing live sport, man. I tell you, and I think a lot of people are missing live sport. It makes such a difference.
Yes.
And so honestly, I mean, you just got to just play. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, and you'll know better than me, hasn't Sweden carried on as normal and they've just gotten on with
yes, they have, but they've got a lot of flack for it because they don't have many deaths, but considering what their population is, they have had a lot of deaths. So, so if you look at Norway, the other Scandinavian countries which population isn't that big either, they've had very little deaths. So comparing to them, Sweden has had the most deaths. So, and they have admitted they were wrong. So I think it was yesterday.
Okay.
They have admitted that they went wrongly about it. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, one of those things, eh? Too late now. But anyway, it's a tricky one.
But
the tricky one.
The football Bundesliga has started here as well at the moment, without spectators. But under strict regulations as well.
Sure. Interesting times, Marcel. Well, I'm sure you're raring to go, and I'm sure you can't wait to have the rugby ball in your hand again and doing your thing in the field. And I'm sure it's going to go well for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Marcel, it's been so great to chat to you. We'll see you on the Sevens tournament when it happens. It's going to happen again. And it'll definitely be nice to see a Coetzee running around the field and doing his thing there. It's brilliant.
Yes, hopefully. Thank you. That'll be great.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Marcel. All the best, my man.
Cheers, Ryan. Thanks.